But I think what people don't understand is that for every public case like Israel Folau or like the Cathy Clubb decision, which has been quite high profile coming out of the High Court this week.
That's the Victoria abortion buffer zone issue.
Yes,
yep.
and Preston was delivered at the same time, which was on very similar facts in a Tasmanian buffer zone case. People generally hear about these and read about them in the news, but what's happening at a much lower level and what we're seeing at the Human Rights Law Alliance is the stories that you don't hear about. The stories of religious discrimination that don't make it into the newspaper, that don't make it into courts. So we act as a legal clinic and we provide legal advice to people who experience discrimination on the basis of religion all over Australia. And some of the cases we've dealt with were a father in Queensland who was hauled up in front of the court for a violence restraining order by his son because he refused to use his son's new name, new gender, and new pronouns on the basis that this failure of speech was actual violence. Now, that didn't succeed at this stage and hopefully won't for some time, but it did occur. We've dealt with various regulatory bodies. There are plenty of people who work in regulated professions that allows them to put letters behind their names, and each of those have a regulatory body which gives them the authority to act. So we've acted for doctors who've been hauled in front of their regulatory authority and asked, please explain whether you're still fit and proper to practice medicine because of your posts, personal posts that you've made on deeply held religious convictions that someone found on your webpage, on your Facebook page, and has collated and complained anonymously to us about. This particular doctor posted on a whole range of issues, including euthanasia, same-sex marriage, transgender identity.
Right.
So there's been the shift. What once used to be statements which were largely accepted as being normal statements for a Christian to make are now seen as offensive and the subject for complaints. And because you can make a complaint and that complaint can be anonymous, it effectively allows activists to weaponize regulatory bodies that regulate various professions. So we've worked for a counsellor who's had the same issue arise, who's actually lost her accreditation with a certain body. We've worked for a number of different teachers who've gotten in trouble. One was a TAFE lecturer. When someone would blaspheme and use the name of Jesus Christ in vain, he would ask, oh, do you know Jesus? Because I know Jesus. And when people use his name, I find that offensive. He was hauled up for witnessing his faith in class and given a letter warning him against speaking on religious topics again. So this is happening in WA, in Victoria, in Queensland. It's happening throughout Australia, and there is no press coverage of this, and there's no real transparency about this with your average person on the street or your person in the pew. Mm-hmm.